My name's Brent Charnley. My wife Maggie and I started this vineyard 33 years ago. This sort of crazy idea all started back when I was about 21 years old and had been working on the ferries for the summer times and could see people starting small farms around the islands. I could also see it was a lot of work for maybe not a lot of money. So that's when the idea first came of something value added and shelf stable. It ended up being better than I expected. It's a particularly warm spot here on the island. The islands are cool due to the cool, moist air coming off of the straits twice a day with that cold water. But you get further inland like this, you get the right aspect of the slope, and you can get quite a bit more heat. Since the beginning, part of the business plan, of course, was to run a tasting room and allow people to come and actually see what we were doing. Part of our tasting room has been to introduce people to these unusual grape varieties. And it's sort of unique in Washington for a winery to have a vineyard as well. Out of the now approximately 1,000 wineries in the state, very few of those actually have some vineyard of their own. I'll let the wine speak for itself.
Hi everybody. Welcome to Lopez Vineyard and Winery. We're really excited to be able to share this place with you. There's so many of you that have supported us for so long and have never come up to visit that we've seen. So this is a really special opportunity. And I'm Maggie, and this is my husband and partner Brent. And together we've been growing grapes here on Lopez and making wine for over 30 years. We're farmers. Brent's the winemaker. I'm the judge. And so today we wanted to share some of this story with you. I'm going to share with you our estate grown grapes and the wines that we make from those, the Madeleine Angevine, the Zigareba, and the Wave Crest White. And Brent will take over at the Chardonnay and share the rest of the product line with you. So as you saw earlier, we grow 5 acres of grapes here on Lopez, and about half of that is Madeleine Angevine and the other half is Zigareba. Mad Angie is originally a French grape. We have a nickname for her, Mad Angie, much easier to remember. It's originally from the Loire Valley and tastes very much like a French Sauvignon Blanc, which Loire Valley is known for growing that primarily. And in this particular location, we're in a really good hot spot on Lopez. So the Madeleine ripens beautifully and makes a perfect pear for harvest from the sea. We like it with crab, oysters, salmon, any of the fish that you can get at Wilson Fish, black cod, halibut. Yes, it's just so it's a delicate wine, so not overdoing the food and just having something pure and delightful like those foods makes the Madeleine shine bright. This is our Zigareba, or Ziggy, much easier name. These are both the original names of the grapes. We did not name them, but we've certainly, I believe I've said this word more than any other word in the last 35 years of my life. Zigareba. And still a German would put my pronunciation to shame. So Ziggy is a great name. It is more unusual than the Madeleine Angevine in flavor and taste. It's related though to Madeleine Angevine and to the Gewürztraminer grape. It's got a lot of aromatic and lots of fruit quality. Little bit of a honey note in it this time, and beautiful color. Really, the Gewürztraminer side of the grape really comes through in the color this year. There have been other years where it's colored up like this. Just takes something from the skins and really makes it stand out even more. Ziggy is great as an aperitif by itself, chilled, really nice and cold, or with the mild cheeses. We have a goat cheese here on Lopez that we think it pairs beautifully with. I don't know how easy it is to get that though. Sunnyfield Farms goat cheese. Or curries. It's beautiful with curries also. And the third is just a combo. This is our Wavecrest White, and it's a blend we made many years ago when we had extra grapes hanging on the vine a little longer in the season. And Brent made this Wavecrest White. He also is the artist of this particular label. And as is true of a couple other labels up here, the winemaker is a versatile person. We have him doing all kinds of work here. But the Wavecrest is different every year. We make it depends on what we have, amounts of Madeleine and Zigareba that we are willing to part with and make this blend. People have an affinity to it though. They love it. I'm not sure if it's for the label more than the wine or not. But anyway, these are our 3 estate-grown organic products directly from Lopez Island. And now I'll let Brent take the rest to share.
So we started making Eastern Washington grapes back in 1990, and mostly because we needed to round out our product line. We didn't have that much acreage bearing yet, and by good fortune in 1992 we were introduced to Charlie and Connie Crawford, whose vineyard is just outside of Prosser. And the first wine, the Chardonnay, comes from their vineyard, from the home vineyard, which has got a really nice, beautiful apple note to it. In some years, a hint of pineapple. I like to ferment and age this in mostly neutral oak, just a little new oak each year. It goes through a secondary fermentation, which gives it just a hint of butteriness as well. So it's softer and acid, nice and smooth on the palate, a great pairing to have with chicken and any sort of cheesy, creamy sauce. Also from the Crawford Vineyards are the grapes to make our rosé. The rosé is a European style rosé. It's dry, made from Merlot and Syrah. We were introduced to the wonderful rosés of Europe when we were back visiting my mentors in France, and came home and started making a wine in that style. The grapes are harvested to make the rosé, meaning a little lower sugar, lower alcohol then, and a little crisper acid note. You get a nice cherry and raspberry note from those 2 different grapes. Our Sangiovese we started making back in 2007 or so, and around 2010 or 12 we were introduced to Elephant Mountain Vineyards, which is in the Rattlesnake Hills. It's a beautiful mountainside, higher elevation vineyard with a south sloping, making it nice and hot. Sangiovese ripens later. This is the principal grape from the Chianti region of Italy. Pairs great with Italian food. I guess there's no accident there. We open this often. It's also received a double gold Best of Class award in the recent wine judging this last summer. Malbec, one of the 5 or 6 grapes from the Bordeaux region of France. We started making Malbec back in 2002 from the Crawford Vineyards, and it was to be part of our cab-based blend, but we found it was so delightful on its own, we've started making extra Malbec so that we bottle Malbec as well as use some in the blend for our cab and our port style wine. The Malbec I get from the Crawfords has been coming from the same 2 rows for over 10 years now. I found those rows by testing their vineyard and making wines from a couple of different locations. They're kind enough to dedicate the same 2 rows to us every year. This has got a nice black pepper note with a deep berry character. We always open it when we're grilling something. It'll stand up to the smokiness and full-bodied of a grilled steak or something like that. Back in 1990, we had our first Cabernet Sauvignon, and in 1992 started actually making a blend of Cab Merlot. And this was because I had sort of cut my red wine teeth in my apprenticeship in the Bordeaux region, and those are the types of red wines I liked. So we've been making Cab Merlot since 1992. In 2002, adding Malbec to that. And for a few years, we got into just making Cab on its own and realized that the blends were far better when we'd aged them. So we returned to making a Cab blend, and the Raven's Caw was the name we gave it, partly because the wine is as complex in its flavors and aromas as the Raven's Caw is complex in its multiple sounds, that you'd think you'd had more than one kind of bird out there in the vineyard when we've heard it. This has also won 2 gold awards and will age for years. It's been extremely popular. I moved now into our dessert wines. Back in 2007, we started making a port-style wine on recommendation of one of our board members. Our winery was, we were helped in founding the winery by community members investing in us back in the early 90s. And Brian said to us, why don't you make a port? And we had some Malbec and Sangiovese that were a bit sweet. And so we added brandy to it and stopped the fermentation, stabilized the wine, and we've been making a port-style wine since then. We call ours Fireside, and this is the 2018 vintage. The brandy we use is made for us by San Juan Distillery from our own red wines, often Merlot or Malbec. And also in a port style, but a fruit port style wine, is our raspberry. The raspberries come from the Monroe area, grown by the brewer's family farm, organically grown. And we've added the similar brandy to it to stabilize it. It's like taking a handful of raspberries and juicing them in your mouth. It's got that sweetness of the raspberry, the crispness and tartness that the berries bring to it gives a nice clean finish, and it's just so beautifully raspberry. There's just no other way to describe. That is our line of wines that we have available this year. So for this virtual farmers market, you can pick up any or all of these by pre-ordering by visiting lopezislandvineyards.com.